Welcome to Left Brain Hot Glass. We're located in Portage, Michigan. You can find us online at leftbrainhotglass.com or follow us on Facebook or Instagram. We utilize a mini dragon produced by Mobile Glassblowing Studios down in Americus, Georgia. We love it. They've thought of everything. We have the mini dragon as well as the annealing tube. So with the annealing tube, we can make an ornament and it can be ready to hang or to be brought home in a little more than an hour. We usually say 65 or 70 minutes. Right here, we're heating the blowpipes. We've got a gather of glass that we're marvering off on the blowpipe. We're shaping it on the marver. Some more shaping. Reheating the glass prior to putting in our starter bubble. Here we go. We put a little starter bubble in. We did the blow and cap method. We're just waiting for the bubble to blow to expand into the glass. You'll see it expand shortly. Always rotating the blowpipe. Here comes the bubble, getting a little bit larger, and then a final reheat before we actually inflate the ornament. Applying the jacks to the top of the ornament for the constriction where we've broken off the blowpipe. Some more jack work. Here we go, expanding. Lucy is my assistant today. She's moving the trays down the annealing tube. We move those about every 5 minutes. Here we are, the final reheat before expansion. We've got the blow hose hooked up. Again, making another ornament. Touching the end of the ornament, chilling that with the spring part of the jacks. Applying the tips for the constriction as we slowly inflate the ornament. It only takes about the same amount of air as you would blow through your straw to create bubbles in your milk. We try to bring this glass back hot enough that you don't have to blow very hard. Chilling the top of the ornament here with the jacks, the very tips of the jacks. We'll be going back into the furnace for one final flash to get all of the ornament heated again before we put the final cooling on the top of the ornament with our jacks. We'll use the part of the jacks that hadn't previously touched the glass in order to chill it quickly. Lucy is gathering glass in the background to put a loop on. I'll take this over to the crack-off table. Hopefully with 1 or 2 taps it'll come off the blowpipe. Just 2 today. Again, Lucy is gathering the glass. She'll marver some of that off. Actually, she's using gravity to do that. She snipped it off and I'm putting a loop on the ornament. Little torch where the glass was cut to make sure that it adheres to the hot glass. Grab the tongs and there's our ornament. Big smile. So we'll put it in an annealing tube. It's about 1100 degrees at the door. We'll pull the trays down every 5 minutes or so. Right now I'm just pulling one up, restaging for the next ornament. We have 10 interlocking trays. Again, this setup is created by Mobile Glassblowing Studios down in Americus, Georgia. They're glass blowers and they have figured out everything. I wouldn't change a thing. So there it is. An ornament in the process. So we've got another one going here. This one I believe is a red and white stripe. So the process is very similar, but there's a couple things we do different. We're going to pick up the red glass on the top and the bottom. Then we're going to square off that bubble and we're going to pick up the white glass on the other 2 sides. So here's our first tap into the red glass. Glass is colored with metallic oxides. Different oxides tend to react. They can react with one another, and white and red are one of those combinations that can react with one another and form black. But since we're applying the red and white side by side and not on top of one another, we shouldn't get too much reaction, if any. So I'm just squaring off the red and giving myself a nice target so I can pick up the white on the 2 sides that have clear glass. Always turning the blowpipe so gravity doesn't win. We want to keep everything on center. Now we're picking up the white glass on the two sides that were previously clear. So the other two sides you can see the red glass on. So white on two sides, red on two sides. Now we're going to twist this at some point. I believe we are actually going to pick up a little bit more red glass first. Reheating, melting the white glass in, and here we go back for our second, actually a second gather of the whites, not the red. Now this is real-time video. It's only about 5 or 6 seconds into the reheating furnace before we go to the marver and start the twisting process. Lucy's over there moving some trays. I'm letting gravity shrink that bubble up a little bit before I go to the marver. And now I'm actually taking those sides that were square when I picked up the color glass and trying to make them round again. If I don't make them round, I'm going to actually fold in some of that white color, and we won't get the stripe that we really desire. Again, just a few seconds in the reheating furnace. Always turning. Now coming out on the marver, applying just a slight bit of pressure, getting it round again. Reheating and turning, pointing to the marver. Coming out shortly, we're going to put a little bit of pressure on it, rotating clockwise. You're going to see the two colors start to swirl. Here we go. You can see the white and the red starting to swirl. I'll raise the back end of the blue pipe up to really focus on the tip end of that twist. Back to level. Back to the tip. We got a really nice swirl going here. We can do this a number of ways. We can actually create the swirl pattern in the reheating chamber. We can do it on a marver. A lot of people will go back to the bench and grab the end of the bubble with the diamond shears, but we didn't need to do that today. Again, always rotating so the glass stays on center. Again, this is real time, so a couple of extra seconds here. And one more final twist on the end of the blowpipe for the spiral. We're tightening the whole twist up, going back to level, chilling the sides of the glass. I believe after this next reheat, we're going to put our starter bubble in it and then go ahead and inflate our ornament. Here's the boring part of the whole process, the reheating process. Again, trying to keep this in real time. In the prior segment, we did cut out some of the reheating. Again, we're located in northern Portage, Michigan, which is in Kalamazoo County, hence the Love Kalamazoo t-shirts. All right, here we come out, final heat. Going to put a little air in it. We're calling this the blow and cap method. Now rotating. Here comes the bubble, a little swing just to lengthen the bubble at the blowpipe, give us a better target for the application of the jacks. One final reheat here. I should be attaching the blow hose that's around my neck here momentarily. You know, prior to COVID, we didn't use blow hoses very often. After COVID, I haven't made a single piece without using a blow hose. So again, touching the end of the bubble, chilling it slightly as it inflates, and now applying the jacks. I'm rotating back and forth, watching the end of that bubble, trying to keep the end of the twist in the center of the ornament. Very light blow here. That's why I'm back and forth, back and forth. I really want to watch that, the end of that, make sure that's on center. You'll see here in a moment that Lucy points out I have a flat spot in my bubble. So a little extra air. There's that flat spot. So after I remove the blow hose, I'll just put a little bit of air in it without the hose. Again, Lucy pointing out, she's a great assistant, pointing out I've got a little flat spot there. All right, blow hose is off. A little bit of air to get rid of that flat spot. One final flash. And then back to the bench for the final chill of the top of the ornament before we tap it off. Again, notice how far up on the jacks I'm going here, where it was cold and had not previously touched the glass. One quick tap. I guess I'm making the loop for this one. Marving a little bit of that glass off the punty before I go and put the loop on the ornament. My hole is a little bit wider than I wanted, so I actually flattened the glass before I attached it to the ornament. Pulling it up, little cut here with straight shears, and then grab the tweezers and fold it over. And there you go. That's a red and white twisted ornament. So here we just add a little segment at the end. We're making a cup. It's basically the same process as making an ornament. At some point, we're going to transfer the gather of glass to a punty. We're working, the top of the cup is attached to the top of the blowpipe. I'm using the jacks to chill the sides and shape the sides, and then my assistant Christy's going to come in with a paddle and help me flatten the bottom. So the portion of the cup that is touching the wooden paddle is the bottom. I'm chilling the sides and shaping the sides with the jacks. Another reheat here. We're going to shape it one more time. Christy's waiting for my instructions before applying the paddle. This particular cup, we used a purple mix. Looks like one more reshape before we transfer. Always turning that blowpipe. You can see that as the glass cools, it comes back to its original color, but when it's hot, it's basically a very glowing orange. So I'm letting this get back on center. One last reheat. Here we go, applying the jacks for the final shape. Christy's putting the paddle on to flatten the bottom. And I'm just making sure I have a concave bottom so that it sits flatly on the table. So here our colors are coming back to their true colors as it cools. I'm in the background preparing a punty. I'm actually going to attach the punty to the bottom of the cup. Here we go. Making sure it's on center, chilling the neck with the jacks, a tap or two, and I should have it transferred off of the blowpipe. We're going to go ahead and reheat the glass, reheat the top of the glass. I generally like to pull the top of my glasses to thin them, better mouthfeel. So here we go, pulling the top of the glass with the tweezers. I'm really making sure at this point that I'm keeping the cup on center on the punty. Back to reheat before we trim. Always rotating. Here we go back to the bench. I'll be grabbing the straight shears and trimming the glass. I've been doing this about 11 years. Learned here in downtown Kalamazoo at Glass Art Kalamazoo. My wife had a group of her friends going down to make an ornament, and they had a spare ornament coupon or Groupon that they used back in the time, so that's how I got started. Now just opening the top. Lucy is applying the paddle as directed to help me keep the top of that cup flat. Couple of more rotations to shape the cup inside and out, making sure we're round with the jacks. Another reheat. And tapping it off. I'm going to apply the torch to make sure that the punting mark is not sharp. So the process is very similar to an ornament, except that we transfer it, and then once it's on the punty, we open it up. And there we go, a quick cup. That'll spend about 65 or so minutes in the annealing tube and be ready to take home or be ready to drink. Lucy checking her watch and make sure that the ornament's ready to come out of the tube. And there's one of today's creations. Thank you very much.